Righto, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. The podcast in your ears known as DIRTBAGZ. So it's a lovely Thursday afternoon, 6 p.m. That means we're coming out at that point in time. And as always, I'm joined by my fabulous host, Danny Current, co-host, Danny Current. DC, what's going on, bud?
Oh, mate, I am killing the game. I'm here with none other than four-time Australian rally champ, 2018 side-by-side Australian champ, and all-round concreter and bad bass, otherly known as Simon Evans. Mate, Simon, how are you, my friend?
Mate, I'm living the dream. Having a ball, loving the off-road racing, and just glad to be here, boys. I love your podcast. Big fan, and happy to.
Awesome, mate. Now, listen, boy, we're going to hit the ground running here because I think for a lot of us off-road, us dirt guys, I mean, I've known you because we've been involved with the side-by-side Australian Championship, but I'm not sure if everyone understands your history with rally racing. I mean, you were in the glory days when it was the best of the best going at it in Australian racing. Josh, you were talking about it. You told me before the podcast some of the people that Simon has raced against, which includes like the likes of Possum Bourne. How crazy is that? Simon, surely I want to know the backstory. How did you get involved in rally racing? Because, I mean, it's something that's always fascinated me. Those guys in rally are just, I don't know, I'm going to say it. They're loose and they are crazy. Fast, dangerous, take chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, rallying was my forte. From when I was a kid, I used to follow it on Nine's Wide World of Sports. And they used to cover, so back in the 80s, this is showing my age now. Not that the beard does, but yeah.
We're all
yeah. They used to show the British Rally Championship on Nine Wides Auto Sports, and so I was a big fan of Pentia Ricola, and a few of those boys that did the British Rally Championship, and I don't know, I had, I guess you could say, an affair towards it. Like I just fell in love with it. And I fell in love with what those boys could do in cars. And I thought to myself, I think I was 6 or 7 years old and I was following on TV, and I just thought, why can't I be a rally driver? So I remember harassing my dad, and he thought push bikes were dangerous. So he bought a paddock bomb for me, a little Datsun 1000. And by the time I was 7 years old, I had a car. And I thought I was Pentia Ricola. So we lived on a 10-acre farm back then. It was a hobby farm. But we had this beautiful driveway up a steep hill, and it was windy, and it was perfect rally territory. And I would just charge up and down this hill all day, every day, and to the point where the neighbours got the shits because I had so much dust. But when they found out it was just the 7-year-old doing it, they actually, helped me. And, the next thing, the neighbours are buying me tyres, and they're putting fuel in my car, and they're just helping out because, I'd learned to siphon fuel from Dad's work van at 7 years old, because he never put fuel in my my paddock bomb. So I had to learn how to siphon and get it out of there so I could keep driving. Which was, they were good fun times. And then I was a big fan of Dukes of Hazzard at the time. It was a good show on TV. And they loved jumping cars. And we had a dam, and I thought, I reckon I could jump that dam. It was about 35 feet across. Anyway, safe to say I didn't make it. I sent my little Datsun 1000 as fast as I could, but it was a bit of an uphill ramp, and it wasn't good. We went straight up in the air, and we landed, and we actually beached the car on the damn wall. I just went straight up like this and then landed on the damn wall, and I had all four wheels off the ground. And I thought, I think I was 9 years old, to be honest, at the time. And I thought, holy shit, how am I going to get out of this before Dad gets home, because he's going to freak out and go off tap. So I ran over to the neighbour's house, which is about half a K away. And I said, can you pull me off the damn wall anyway? So he's like, yeah, I'll Dave. Top bloke. He comes over, he's a mechanic, comes over with his Land Rover or whatever it was. And he looks at the car and he goes, did you try to jump the dam? I said, yep. He goes, you were never going to make it. And I'm like, why is that? And he goes, you lined up perfectly with the big tree on the other side. Even if you made it, you would have crashed into the tree. I never thought of that. Like, we didn't go that far down the path. So, yeah, no, it was funny. And we dragged the car off the wall, and I continued on with my childhood. But Dad found out a few years later and got stuck into me for being a dickhead. And my old man, he grew up in the school of hard knocks, and he's never been supportive in anything I've done, other than the fact that he just tells me what to do, and in respect that you're a dickhead and you shouldn't do it that way. But he never provides any words of encouragement. It's always words of negativity. But look, I still love him, and he's been a fantastic influence, to be honest, in my life. So I can't complain.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then, so from there, obviously there was the family. You started off with rally but bashing around the yard a bit. But one of the earliest cars that I first remember was you had a black and silver. Was it Hella sponsored Subaru?
That car was cool. Yeah. Okay, so the Hella car, yeah, that probably ignited my career. I had a gig before the Hella car with Volkswagen, and that's sort of how I got to the Hella car. So we, it's a long story, but the short version is basically we went to Rally Australia. We met the Volkswagen guys. I was running a Toyota Corolla at the time. But the Volkswagen factory team were over there racing, and I loved their car. At the time, they had the best car in what was called Formula 2, which was a two-wheel drive car, but it was fully modified, so it had everything. And it was the same category that we were racing in with the Toyota, but the Volkswagen was by far the better car. Anyway, I'd heard rumours that everybody had been trying to get Volkswagen as sponsorship and all that sort of stuff, and they were just hitting walls and going nowhere. So anyway, I was at Rally Australia running my Toyota Corolla. I broke it. I can't remember exactly what I did, but anyway, it was a long time ago. I broke it anyway, so I was out of the race itself, but I'd done pretty well until that point. And I wandered over to the Volkswagen camp on the Sunday afternoon and was just looking at the car. The team manager came out. I didn't realise he was the team manager at the time. And he goes, oh, yeah, what do you think? And I'm like, mate, I love your car. It's fantastic. I said, I'd love to race one. And he goes, well, what's your name? And I said, oh, Simon Evans. I'm pleased to meet you. What's your name? And he said, oh, Jürgen Bertel. And I'm like, oh, yeah, great. And he goes, I'm the manager of Volkswagen Motorsport in Germany. And I said, oh, right, nice to meet you. And I said, I was running a Toyota Corolla. He goes, yes, I know. He goes, I was watching your stage times. He goes, stage times are pretty good because the car isn't that good. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I think that's a compliment. And he goes, if you're serious about wanting a Volkswagen, come to Germany. Talk to me. And so he gave me his card. So I went home and after the rally, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to send this guy an email and see what happens. And so we sent him an email, and away we went. And sure enough, I got an invitation to come to Germany. Like, basically, don't be shy, get over here. And so I went over there, and we had a chat. We did a presentation. Next thing, I come home with 2 Volkswagens, full factory cars. And we've got an Asia Pacific program, and we're doing the Australian Rally Championship, and yeah, it just opened doors for me, and I'll never forget it. He was a big fan of what I was doing. And then anyway, so the next season we're in the Volkswagen. We get to Rally Australia again. We're winning the Australian Championship for two-wheel drives. And so we get to the WRC event, in the two-wheel drive category, which is like the feeder category for WRC, so for the best driver in the world. And we go testing, so it's against Renault, it's against Skoda. I'm just trying to think of the manufacturers that were there. There's a couple of others as well off the top of my head, but in the day I had a 5-year-old car basically against the brand new Volkswagen and the new Renault and the Skoda and the MG, all factory teams running in the WRC, and I topped the timesheets in my customer car.
Yep.
On the test stage. So anyway, we go back to our accommodation. Next thing, my phone's ringing. It's Jürgen, and he's like, Simon. He goes, we need your car, and I'm like, no worries. What's going on? And he goes, well, we're very impressed with the stage times you did. And I said, well, no wonder. I flogged everyone. And he goes, so we're going to upgrade it from customer spec to factory spec. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, they come, so a couple of German boys come up and they grab my car and they disappear. Anyway, it rocks up the next morning and apparently it's got another 100 horsepower and, all good bits on it. So we've basically got a full factory spec Volkswagen that's a couple of years old. And we go out to the first stage at Langley Park. I mean, do you guys remember Langley Park there at Perth?
Yes. I know of it. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a stage where you run side by side.
Yes.
And and we take on the world, Well, did we take on the world? So I took off in this car. It was the fastest car I've ever driven at this point in my career. It took off. So I haven't driven the car before they'd done this. So we've got onto the stage. I'm flat out. I'm just pulling gears, and this thing's amazing. We get through the first corner. I'm up against the factory Renault, and we get to the first corner. We're nailing it. We're in the lead by, I don't know, 10, 15 metres. Turn to the next corner, way too fast. Run off the road, roll over, end up stuck on our side, and made an absolute dick of myself. Anyway, I'm sitting on my side and I'm just telling the officials, just push us over, keep going. Anyway, the Renault went on to win the stage, obviously. They finally pushed me over and I took off like a bat out of hell, right? So, they like to make sure that the driver and co-driver are okay and all this sort of shit. I didn't have time for that shit. The stopwatch was running and we were going. So, as soon as the wheels hit the ground, I was full tilt and took off, finished the rest of the stage. Anyway, had nothing to say about it. Was pretty pissed off. Get to the end and we go to the service park and we're putting a new windscreen in the car and that because we did a little bit of damage. And the boss from Volkswagen Motorsport comes over and he goes, it's not a good start. And I'm like, no, it's not a good start. We're now in last position. And he goes, but it was a very good recovery. And I'm like, thanks. I said, I was pissed off and I just did what I could. And he goes, let's see what happens tomorrow. Anyway, so this is Thursday night at Rally Australia. So we go out on the Friday morning. We've got 140 Ks competitive. And I take off it. And thank God I didn't make any mistakes. Adapted to the car pretty quick. And we had a great day. We went from 82nd outright to 12th.
Yep.
In the World Rally Championship. And we were actually in the fight. I think we were 4th or 5th in our category. So we've been fastest car all day, which was a big boost.
Yes.
And anyway, we got to the end of the Friday. Pretty happy with how we're going and stuff like that. And anyway, the big boss comes over and he's like, he puts me in his arms and he's like, Simon, he goes, the number one man. And I'm like, that's great, Jürgen. I said, I'm glad that you're happy with me. And he goes, you are the biggest improver from 82nd to 12th. He goes, nobody does this. And I said to him, welcome to Australia, mate. I do this shit all the time.
Well, considering, Simon, so in those periods, did you have to pass cars to do that? On track?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rally Australia was one of those real tough events. So every stage in off-road racing, it's not a big stage, but in rallying, it was a big stage. So every stage was a minimum of 25, 30 Ks. But you're driving at full tilt. And like the way I look at off-road racing now, compared to rallying, you're driving at about 60% in off-road racing to what you do in rallying. So, because the problem is in off-road racing, the tracks are so rough. If you drive any harder, you just tear wheels off. And in rallying, you're on a perfectly groomed gravel road, and it rewards commitment.
Right.
Yeah. So if I committed in off-road racing, you would see me drinking beers by 11 o'clock every morning.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve for me. And look, to be honest, with my physique, off-road racing suits me right now.
I like that.
Yeah, like I'm happy driving at the level I'm driving at. I enjoy it, and it's a challenge. And I say the same to my kids. You know, like you can drive harder. We all know that, but you know, at the end of the day, the challenge here is to get the car to the finish.
Yes.
Yep.
In a good position is the ultimate goal. So that's the thing I love about off-road racing is, and I do say to my kids, all of us could drive faster. Every competitor could drive faster. But the problem is the track won't allow it because all you'll do is destroy your car. And so, everybody's driving smart. So the guys that are winning, they're the smartest drivers out there. And you just got to be smarter. As simple as that. And that's one thing I love about off-road. Whereas rallying is balls to the wall. At the end of the day, you need to be the fastest driver who's willing to commit. And so it's a bit different. And I'm sure I could have this argument with a few of the off-road boys because I know the top guys are really committing.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I reckon I could stand strong in this argument and go, I know you're really committing, but I know you've got more in you. But if you drive any harder, you're just going to break your car.
Yep.
So it's all about balance. And and off-road really shows that. And I, in my career right now, I love that side of it. Like I love how hard it is to be at the top because it's hard work. And in St George, I got fourth overall in side by sides, and we worked hard to get that. And I'm proud of it, and I appreciate the result. For us, Pooncarry wasn't such a good result. We ended up blowing a motor, but our pace was really good. I was happy, and look, the way I looked at it, the event was coming to me, but at the end of the day, the engine let us down. So there's nothing we can do about that. That's just shit happens.
That's off-road racing.
Yeah, exactly. It's off-road racing. We all know. But it hurts. It hurts your soul as a driver.
It does.
But because there's nothing you can do about it, and I would love it. I would have been happier if I just crashed and rolled and tore the wheel off it. Because I know I can fix that, but I don't do the engines, so I can't fix that. So that's where I'm at. So but no.
So one of the things you were talking about was the strategy in off-road racing about maintaining your car and everything like that, and rally was flat out balls to the wall. But was there a little bit of strategy or mind games in rallying, about not wanting to be the first car out and someone else sweep? Like, was there like an optimum position to start, or was there there still was some strategy, even though it was flat out balls to the wall, the fastest car, there obviously was still some strategy and jockeying for position in that race, in rally racing.
Definitely, but your pride always gets in the way. So you want to be car one on the road, but even though it's not the best position.
Yep.
Because it's bragging rights. It's it's the alpha male syndrome.
Yes.
You want to be the fastest in that, even though it doesn't reward position. So position on the road for rallying, because if you're driving swept or if you're driving clean roads and you've got to sweep the road, it's a massive hindrance, and it slows you down because you're moving more gravel than everybody else. So it was a real problem in events like South Australia, where they didn't repeat stages. So when you had repeat stages, it was fine. You didn't worry about it because you got to repeat them. And when you repeated them, that's when you got your time back. But in South Australia, it was all council roads, shire roads, and they only allow you to do them once. So you're just sweeping the whole time, and it was an absolute pain in the ass when your car won on the road. Which, for my career, once Possum died, I was car one on the road for 7 years. And it was a bit of a hindrance. But what I learned was while everybody, so anyone from car 5 onwards had a massive advantage, what I learned was I needed to set my car up basically with a full wet setup. So I'd groove the tyres, we'd open them up, all the grooves, I'd run the car soft, like sway bars as soft as you can, shocks as soft as you can, to compensate for the fact that you're sweeping roads, because you've got probably, 50% of the grip. I'm just taking a guess. Of the guys who are running 5th and 6th on the road, who are driving on a swept road, and it was like tarmac. And so you just had to play the game. That was the game. So we dealt with it, and you didn't whinge about it. You just did it. To be honest, I loved it. The more loose the car was, the better I drove. If I could back it into a corner from 100 metres away, I had a smile on my face. I was happy. So, I really enjoyed that side of it. I enjoyed the challenge of it. And, I'm just, to this day, I still love rallying. I love motorsport, full stop. I love circuit racing. I love speedway. I appreciate what everybody does in their cars when they do it, because I've done it. And I'm a big fan of NASCAR because it's all tactics. And I appreciate that. I really do enjoy watching the tactics of it and seeing how it folds and stuff like that. So, I'm sorry. I'm just a motorsport nerd. I love all motorsport, and I love the Supercross. I love the motocross. I watch everything I can. If it comes up in front of me, I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to admit, I was saying my favorite. If I could ride a bike like Toby Price, I would sell that Jimco in a minute, and that's what I'd be doing. But I'm not wired for it. But how good are I'm going to represent here for the good old Queenslanders and stick one into all the other states. How about those the Lawrence boys, the two brothers, Hunter and Jet, over in America, doing an awesome job.
They're amazing, and the Americans are so bloody tough. To break into that market in the first place is an amazing effort. Let alone do what they're doing. Those boys, hats off to them. They're doing a fantastic job. So big fan, as I say, of all motorsports. So I'm watching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
No, that's brilliant. Hey, Simon, we were catching up, obviously, again with the side-by-side when we're doing the short course championship style stuff. But run us through, because you told me a fantastic story about some wild crashes and an Australian championship on the line. Tell us that story, mate, because I was sharing it with Josh a little bit before. I'm sure I stuffed it up, but our audience would love to hear that story. I'm sure of it.
Okay, so that was my first year. So there's a bit of backstory to that. So when I was in the helicar, I figured if I keep driving as hard as possible and getting the results I was getting, which was, we were fighting for outright wins, we were always on the podium. Surely at one point, I'm pissing off the manufacturers enough where they'd have to ring me up and offer me a drive to come drive for them, because I was knocking them off the podium. So, and my plan worked. I had offers from obviously Toyota, which I ended up taking up, and Mitsubishi. to come and drive for them. Both of them were fantastic offers, but I chose Toyota because I was lucky at the time. Rallying was at its peak. There was so many factors, but Toyota was a massive company. They were on the way up, whereas Mitsubishi had been on the top, and I felt that they were probably on the way down. And I just wanted to be with the winning team. Like, what do you do? There was no room in Subaru. To be honest, I would have loved to have driven for Subaru, but there was no room there between Cody Cocker and Possum Bourne and Dean Herridge. They had a really good bank of drivers. So, I really didn't have an option other than selecting Toyota or Mitsubishi, which were both fantastic choices, don't get me wrong. I probably could have won the championships in both. Well, I think I ended up doing that. So I chose Toyota, and first year with Toyota, we went from running the 6th and 7th, I think was Bates's best result was 6th, and so the first round I won. So I took the team from 6th to 1st, and we were racing against the likes of Chris Atkinson and Chris actually won the event, but they found his car to be illegal, and so they gave me the win. I was second. They gave me the win and at scrutineering. So probably not for me as a driver, it's not the way you want to win. Chris did a really good job. Whether his car was illegal or not, he still drove fantastic, and he deserved the win. That's the way I see it and the way I feel about it. But they gave it to us because apparently our car was legal, which is nice. So we took the win, and it was good for Toyota. Obviously, it boosted everybody. It was also first event with the team, take a win, which I've never had in the Group N prototype car. And that set us up for the championship. So then, the next round, I think we came 3rd, and we were in the fight. We were leading the championship. Anyway, we got to Tassie, the Tasmanian round. I was leading the championship at the time. And we were charging along. There's this one stage. Tasmania is a tough event because it's really it's a tricky event. It's very fast, and what happens is there was a multiple use stage. So there was a stage where there was actually 2 stages off it. So we started in the same point, and if you turned left, you did one stage. If you turned right, you did the next stage. So this part of the road was used at least 6 times to the point when I got to it. And at the point of my accident. So what happened is the road changed so much because they've had 100 cars go over it at least 3 or 4 times before I repeated the stage. And so the stage, and it was pissing down rain at the time, and the stage went from this beautiful blue metal gravel with heaps of grip to clay.
Yep.
And I was flat in top gear, and we'd done it a couple of times, and you could get round it. It was really simple, that you learn the road. And anyway, it wasn't so grippy in the rain with just clay on the road when all the gravel was gone. And so we used a lot more road than I planned on, and then we ploughed into a stump at 140 km an hour and produced some ridiculous amount of Gs on the Motec. It was something around 45 Gs or something like that.
Wow.
Anyway, I hit this stump and it came in my door underneath the intrusion bars and smashed into me and broke my leg and everything like that. Anyway, we bounced back up onto the road. We were quite lucky. And then when we landed on the road, the car was toast. I was toast. I knocked Susie out, my co-driver. She'd hit my elbow because I turned into the corner like this, and as you can see, my left elbow's up. And of course, when I hit the stump, what did she hit?
Mm.
So my elbow went through her helmet and knocked her out.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
That's a big crash.
It was a big crash.
Mm.
And Chris Atkinson had already hit the same stump. He was the car in front of me, but he just got a little bit further around the corner than I did, and clipped the stump with the back quarter panel and tore all the rear suspension out of his car. So he was 100 metres up the road, but I hit it right on my door. And anyway, he came running over and he thought I was dead.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big hit. And he stuck his head in the window and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, mate. Like, I'm hurting bad. I'll never forget it." It felt like somebody was standing over you with the biggest sledgehammer you've ever seen and swinging it at your hip. That's what it felt like, full swing.
Well, we're a couple of leckies, so we don't use big hammers. Like, you know, we've only got the little one, so we'll have to take your word for it.
It's a bloody big sledgehammer. And it's a full swing and it hits your hip, and I tell you what, it hurts. And and that's what happened to me. Anyway, the ARC really stepped it up, and they had all year, and their safety side of things was A1. Like, within 10 minutes, I had a doctor on the scene, an aircraft to get me to the hospital and all that sort of stuff. Like, I can't complain there. And I got to the hospital, and the first 3 doctors wanted to cut my leg off because the damage was so bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and thank God I was conscious, because I just told them to get stuffed, not so politely. And anyway, we found that it was a young doctor there that Toyota got onto. One of the bosses of Toyota was there. They were fantastic. They were just like, just get the best surgeons you've got. I don't give a shit where they're coming from. Let's get them here. Let's sort this out. Anyway, there was a really good young surgeon in Hobart, and he came and he looked at my leg, and he's just like, "Oh, that's pretty nasty." And he goes, "But I can fix that." And I just said, "Mate, you got the job.
What a guy.
Let's do it." And he did. He put a nice titanium rod down my femur and just connected up all the broken bits. Played a bit of Meccano, I guess. I don't know how you put it. Put a couple of screws into my hip, got my leg connected to my hip again, and away we went. And so 5 weeks later, we were racing in South Australia, and everybody said I'd never be there. Even my own team. They're just like, "Mate, just, there was no pressure." To be honest, there was no pressure from Toyota. Everyone was fine. But it was the pressure I put on myself. And I was leading the championship till that event. And so as far as I'm concerned, I had a big fight to go, and I did. I made the next event. I can say it bloody hurt. The scrutineers made me carry crutches in the car, and all that sort of stuff, because I struggled to walk on my leg. But I could get myself out of that car in the time frame, because I think CAMS had a rule back then that you had to get out within 30 seconds of an accident, and I could do that. I didn't need the crutches to get out in that quick a time. So I proved myself in that area, and
Simon, that's pretty crazy. From essentially, they're going to cut your leg off to racing 5 weeks later. They wouldn't have thought you were going to walk, let alone, be racing a race car and keeping your championship hopes alive. Am I on the right track? You didn't actually win that year, did you, unfortunately? Or you did have a good year? No.
I come second. So, and all because of that bloody crash. But, yeah, look, no, you're right. The doctor said I'd never walk again normally. Some say I still don't walk normal, but I'm happy with how I walk. But look, it does get noticed. Actually, to be honest, it was noticed in Pink area as well. People just like, "Oh, why are you limping?" And I'm like, long story.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got a good story to tell you about why I have a limp. So when you were racing, so when you raced that round, the final round or the next round 5 weeks later, were you in a cast?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You refused a cast?
Yeah. Yeah, because if I had a cast on, they wouldn't let me in the car.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah.
but Simon, the other side of that is that, am I also in the right, now that you've told me that you refused a car, didn't you also refuse painkillers, or there was some story about that as well?
No, dead on. Yeah, absolutely. Because if I took painkillers, I had no idea what damage I was doing. So I refused painkillers as well. And I kind of regret that a little bit. Yeah, because I was in hospital. I was in massive pain, but I would not admit it. And I'm a stubborn prick. I couldn't sleep at nights and stuff like that. But at least I knew what the pain was, and I knew what the pain threshold needed to be. So I don't do drugs. I don't like drugs. I don't like Panadol. I don't do Nurofen. I don't do any of that sort of stuff because it hides what's really going on. And I feel that you need to know what's going on so you can judge whether or not you can cope with it.
Nope, that makes a lot of sense. No, I just remember the story and went, it was amazing. So now that I understand, you had no cast and no painkillers, and you essentially forced yourself to be ready for that 5 weeks. That's an amazing story.
Well, it was my life as well. So, I didn't different, and it was my career. My career was on the line. There was a lot involved, and people go, "Oh, that's amazing" and stuff like that. And I'm like, "Oh, is it?" Like, because I reckon most people would have done the same as I would have.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I could, but I'm not sure, mate. I'm very impressed. I'm telling you that's a good effort. Hey, well, so going on from the rally side of things, you then progressed, because then you ended up involved with Polaris. Tell us that story, because I met you racing the side-by-side championship. So back in those days, prior to what's going on now with the side-by-sides, where you're racing at a Australian round, the 80-kilometer one, we all went racing, and we were on a motocross track, 6 and 8 cars at a time. It was a good time back in those days, wasn't it, Simon?
Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it? Look, to be honest, to this day, I still think the side-by-side championship really suited my personality and probably driving style. What we're doing right now is, like I think I said earlier, I'm still learning and I'm enjoying it. I love the challenge of it, but the short course championship on motocross tracks, where we jump on these things as far as we can. We're trying to clear every set of doubles. We're trying to clear tabletops, step ups, all that sort of stuff. Mate, if you told me tomorrow, hey, Evo, we're going side-by-side racing and we're doing it on motocross tracks, mate, I'm in. Like, I miss that. It was so good, so much fun. It was a little bit wild. It was a little bit crazy. Well, actually, it was a lot crazy. Some of the stuff that we do, you don't even think about it. The damage we used to do, the repairs in between races, like, it was wild. It was, you didn't have a minute to breathe. There was always something to do, and the mechanics were, like, to be honest, if you had the best mechanics in the world, there's every chance you were going to win, because the mechanics made your race. You do the best you can as a driver, trying to stay out of trouble, trying to get the best line, all that sort of stuff. But in side-by-side racing on motocross tracks, it was inevitable that you were going to do damage. So you just needed a really good team behind you to be able to make things happen and get the results that we got. So yeah, I couldn't have done anything without my team. Like, they were fantastic. Like, the boys that I had coming to events were fearless. They just attacked everything with gusto, and like, I miss those days, because like, if they came racing with me now, they'd look at me and go, "Evo, this is boring." Because we go and do 80k laps, and we generally don't break anything, and we just look after the car. And worst case scenario, we put a bit of oil in it and a little bit of fuel, and that's away we go again. So we had a good time. But those were wild days, and that was pioneering a new era of the sport. So I'm very proud. I'm still very proud to be part of it. And they were good times. And I tell you what, to be successful in that era, you really needed big balls.
Oh, absolutely. Because it was nothing to have three wheels, win a race, and then they'd put new arms on it for the next race. Hey, it was madness,
Absolutely. Yeah, for
but it
sure.
was so good.
I definitely finished a fair few races with not all the wheels on it. And I don't think I won any races with three wheels, but we definitely finished a lot of races with three wheels and sometimes even two.
Yep. It was amazing, some of those tracks. And then even you'd see at the start people working up to the whoops, and then all of a sudden the likes of you or Toby or someone, Ewan McClue was quite competitive as well. Really great guy.
Yeah, Ewan's the unsung hero. Ewan was. He was the quiet achiever.
He really was.
Yeah, Ewan was very good at making you underestimate him. And so he always put the groundwork in, and he was very serious about his racing, and he wanted to race at the top. So, but when you talk to him, he's just like, "Oh no, I'm just just enjoying it and having a good time, and then don't really care where I finish." That's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, just winning the championship.
He was there to win.
Absolutely. No, he was a great guy, great competitor.
Still is.
But absolutely. Absolutely. Hasn't gone anywhere. No, but what's interesting, so then leading on to that, my next question for you is from the rally to the early side-by-side to the Australian, and I know you've sort of alluded to this. How do you find the changes, Simon?
Oh, well, the changes are inevitable. So going from rallying to side-by-side racing was more. So I was lucky enough I did. So obviously rallying I did from when I was 18 to, I don't know, 36, 37, probably older, 40. I did it for 30 years. There you go. So that was ever that 46. Jeez, I'm old.
Wow. Yep.
So yeah, we did rallying for a long time, and it really came to us. It was even from day dot. I was a bit of a natural. Like I won't say it's easy, but it came to me, and it's not easy, and it was a lot of hard work, but I loved it, and we really enjoyed it, and I had a good team of guys around me. So back in the Heller days, I think we only had one mechanic in the team. The rest of us were, like, I was a concreter, there was auto electricians, there was electricians, there was, there was only one mechanic in the whole team, and we were taking on Possum Bourne and Neil Bates and Cody Crocker and fighting for championship win, or not for championship, for outright wins in the series. And we were just a bunch of tradies working on the side and doing it all after hours, and we're very proud of what we could achieve. They were good times and they were good days, and but then we moved into side-by-side racing, and so I got into side-by-side racing sort of through my brother Tom. He took it up as soon as that Polaris RZR series started, and he bought one of the first cars, and they went racing, and so I jumped on it then, and I helped Tom. We went to a motocross track before we'd even done a race, and I sat in the passenger seat with him and taught him how to jump, because I'd done a bit of racing on quad bikes in the past just to keep my fitness up so I could go rallying. But my son Jackson was right into the quad bikes. He loved it, and I think half the reason he loved it so much was because there was a lot of pressure on him when we went rallying. When he decided to do a rally, there was a lot of pressure on him from everybody else. They all expected him to perform and to be something that, it was up to him. Like, he could choose to be that, or he could do whatever he wanted. But there was a lot of pressure just because he was carrying my name and my son.
Yep.
So I always said to him, mate, you do what you want. Like, I'll support you in anything you want to do. You don't have to go rallying. You don't have to do anything that I've done. I've done that to my own choice. If you want to do anything different, I'll support it. And so he chose quad bike racing. He went out because we used to do autocross and stuff like that, and he found there was a lot of pressure when he was in it to perform, and he didn't enjoy it, and that was fair enough. I get that, and it's kind of hard for me. I wanted him to be really successful at driving cars, but he just didn't want to do it at the time. He was only 16. And he just found the pressure was a bit much. And he just said, Dad, I want to go racing quad bikes. And I said, mate, do whatever you want. And we did it. We did it to the best that we could afford. And he was really good at it. And we had a great time. And then I ended up buying a quad for myself and just doing it for fitness. And then next thing I'm competing and loving it. And yeah, really enjoying it. I was in, I think, the over 40s category, the veterans.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I wasn't winning. Like I was getting
no, they're fast.
Yeah, I was getting flogged by some really good guys, but I was really enjoying it, and that actually helped me so much when I got an invitation to come and drive the Polaris. Well, actually, so the real story is what happened there was Dave Brown. I was helping Tom up at Newcastle. And I was just running the team, just being the team manager and doing that stuff. And David Brown was debuting the new Yamaha.
Yes.
At the time. Yeah. And it was jumping terrible. And Dave was actually giving it a fair crack, and it was just horrific watching this thing fly over jumps. And so I thought, put in my 2 bobs worth. I know Dave pretty well. So I went over to Dave and I just said, mate, you need help because that thing's horrible on the track. And he's like, mate, I'm open. What are you suggesting? Because he goes, I've got nothing. And so we suggested a few things, and I helped him with a bit of development to try to get the thing to fly good. Anyway, we made a slight improvement. I won't say we fixed it. We made a slight improvement. And then next thing, so we helped him through the whole event, all that sort of stuff, and then we went to the pub and had a good time. And then next thing, he comes up to me and he goes, listen, I'm going to Europe for a couple of weeks and I'm going to miss the next round. Do you want to drive me Yamaha? And he goes, entry fees paid, just turn up. And I'm an idiot. I'm like, yeah, I'm keen, no worries. So we rocked up to Canberra for my first round. I think of Ivan Scott, it was his first round too in a Yamaha.
Yeah. Weapon.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is a weapon.
He is nuts.
Yeah. Anyway, so they raced back then. They raced the Yamahas in against the turbo Polarises. So she was in the outright category. And I'll be stuffed. We had a pretty good weekend, and I put the thing on the podium.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a better result than what Dave ever got. And
hey, sorry, just Simon, just for 2 secs. So for our listeners, the Dave you told about, Dave Brown and Josh, I'm not sure if you're aware of that is Brown Davis. So they do roll cages, fuel tanks, all sorts of
yes, yep.
all sorts. So they're the Brown Davis guys, and they were very big early on. And you can still buy cages and all sorts of modifications for your side by sides.
Now, yeah,
yes, they do all sorts of vehicle modifications.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I got to drive Dave's car, and I put the thing on the podium, and then after the podium presentation, Simon Gloin from Polaris comes up and he goes, you need to drive a Polaris. And I said, mate, I'm open to it. I'm not contracted to anybody. So
yes.
So I gave him a number, and I think the Monday morning he was ringing me, and he's just like, rightio, so what's it going to take to get you to drive in our team next event? And I said, not much. Just say, you're
Tell
welcome
me where to be.
I'll be there.
Yes. Brilliant.
I didn't even need a please.
Yes.
So we went to Albury, and next thing I saw, I was driving for Polaris because they were looking for a driver at the time because Matty Mingay just had his big crash there in the trucks.
Yes.
Over in America.
Yeah, through somebody's bad luck, I ended up picking up a bit of a drive. So that's motorsport, and like I say, Matty's come through, which is real good. So making me feel better. But ended up getting a gig with Polaris in the next round, and be stuffed. I went out and I won the round outright. First drive in a Polaris.
Yes, I think I remember that. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so that pretty much tied me in with Polaris for the rest of my life. Look, it's been a fantastic adventure, and I've never looked back. We've just had a great relationship from the get-go, really. Yeah, I know. I'm Polaris are very loyal. I'm very loyal, and I can't see anything changing for a long time. Like I'm having a ball with the product. Yeah, like we're just going leaps and bounds. We're going forward. We never look back, and yeah, it's just been so much fun. Like over the years, like I say, I've had some great experiences with them, and yeah, I just can't complain. And they've been fantastic supporters all along, especially once I introduced my kids into the team. They took that with open arms, and yeah, like Polaris have just been fantastic, and I've been pushing as hard as I can to share the love amongst all the Polaris competitors, and yeah, we do as much as we can for everybody who's racing, and because I feel pretty lucky to be where I am in the sport, and I appreciate where I am. So yeah, we just try to help as many people as we can.
Yep.
And hopefully we can get the product across the line and beat those bloody Can-Ams. I said, oh God.
Well,
I tell you what, Polaris are definitely stepping up the game over in America. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? They had a couple of the new Polarises actually prologue and finish in the top 10, like beating trophy trucks and stuff like that as well. And they also at the King of the Hammers very successfully raced against the Class 10 cars as well. So those new Polarises, are they a 2-liter with a 5-speed box? That those new Polarises look like they are weapons.
They are weapons. They're a 2-liter with a CVT transmission, actually.
Yep.
They're an amazing engine, extremely strong and reliable. Because Mitch Guthrie at King of the Hammers, there he came second in the off-road race, basically. Yes. So yeah, and then I think he backed it up again only at the last race there. Is it Silver?
I think it's Silver State 300.
Silver State. He comes second outright.
Outright,
yes.
The only thing that beat him was a trophy.
Yep.
Which is it's fantastic. That's great for the product, and it's Mitch Guthrie too. So he adds a massive factor to it. That guy's amazing. He's very committed, and he's one part of the Red Bull race team. He's done Dakar. He's he's a serious driver. So kudos to him. I respect everything he does, but look, I can't wait to get my hands on one of these things. We've been lucky enough to drive one. We've had a pre-production car here in Australia, and we did a launch with it, and we're lucky enough to have it on our test track and drive it, and the car is amazing. It's the next level side by side. So I just rather than try to sell it here and tell you how good it is, I just want to get one and race it, show you how good it is. I don't have to speak about it. It will do all the talking for us.
So you think it's a full game changer?
Absolutely. It's a contender, if you know what I mean. Like it'll step it up over what we're already doing right now. It's going to step it up tenfold.
Yep.
So if you don't see half those Can-Am boys out there now switching over to the Polaris, I'd be shocked.
There you go.
Big call. Wow.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, this is the car to have. And if anyone who's not getting supported by Can-Am, I guarantee they'll switch over, because these things are a massive advantage.
So that's interesting, Simon, because that leads me to another question that I did want to get to you, because what I said, and we talk about this all the time off camera, don't we, Josh? Like 10 years ago, side-by-sides were a 900 XP. And I mean, that was a pretty fun farm agricultural bit of gear, but every 2 years with these manufacturers, like probably, what was it, about 16 or 17 when the X3 came out, realistically, that was the car to have. And then 2 years later, Polaris has stepped it up, then Can-Am stuff. Like there's always a manufacturer. And what blows me away is if you drove a 900 from 10 years ago and what a current car is, like they are, it's not even close. Like in off-road racing, a trophy truck, like, a 10-year-old trophy truck's still competitive. A 10-year-old side-by-side, you're a backmarker. I'm really sorry if that offends anyone, but like a new car, the game is constantly changing with side-by-sides. And that's what amazes me about them, is that it's just such a growing technology, a sport, like, and obviously you see this new, sorry, mate, run us through the model. It's an S or something like that. What's the new Polaris?
The new Polaris is called a Pro R.
Pro R.
It's a 2-liter engine, still CVT transmission, but it's 74 inches wide. It's got 27 inches of travel. It's ridiculously strong. I think they compare them to trophy trucks, like the wheel bearing assembly is what you'd run on your trophy truck and things like that. Like it's a serious contender, and you could just grab a standard one from the dealership, put a race cage on it, a set of seats, and go racing, and it would last you the whole season. Like this is reliable and fast. It's starting to get into the realm of where motorbikes were, the Honda Yamaha whole scenario, where you bought the latest Yamaha or Honda and you just literally jumped on and raced it. Where the Polaris Can-Am scenario is going now. So you don't need all the chrome ollie bits. You don't need to change the clutching. You don't need to do anything now. You just grab a car, put the cage on it so you can go racing, and a set of harnesses and a set of seats, and away you go. And that's where it's at. That'll be when I get my car. That's exactly what it'll be. There'll be no tunes in it. There'll be nothing like that, because these things are fast out of the box. They're 225 horsepower standard.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, and they only weigh, I think, 1,100 kilos. So, and they're four-wheel drive, normally aspirated, so they don't have any of the heat of the turbocharger or anything like that. Like these things are going to perform. We had a 4-seater here, pre-production vehicle, and we had 4 blokes. It felt blokes just like me.
Yes.
And we did my track as quick as my race car does it with just me in it.
Wow.
Yeah, and to me that's a massive, massive improvement. There's no way my race car could do it with 4 of me in it.
Yep.
So,
and they're going to come in a 2-seater and a 4-seater model, like long and short?
Yep. Yeah, and the 2-seaters are quite long. So you'll see Jackson and I will be running 2-seaters. That's what we've ordered, and that's what everybody's running in the States as well.
Yes.
So, look, the 4-seaters are fantastic. And to be honest, the 4-seaters will be better at Fink than the 2-seater, but we're looking at a package that's going to do the whole season. So
yes,
there's events that, obviously, probably, to be honest, there's 5 events where the 2-seater is going to be better, and 1 event that the 4-seater will be better, and that's going to be Fink. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll just take that as it comes, but looking forward to being able to get hold of it, build it, debut it, and get it out there and show everyone how good the thing is, because that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm about.
Absolutely. Well, that also leads us on to, so you guys are doing the Australian Championship with us side-by-sides at the moment. The next round, so you've had 2 rounds, and you're just saying a 7-car lineup going to Fink, which is round 3 of the Australian Championship. How are you doing it?
Lack of sleep.
I like that.
Yeah. There's a reason why I can't open my eyes right now.
Yeah.
It's been a big week, and I love it though. It's great to be able to share off-road racing with so many people, and to see the love for the sport growing. I'm a big fan of that. We've got some guys switching across from rally. We've got some guys switching across from speedway, and they're all coming off-road racing because they can see how much fun we're having. So, and value for money. Like the time in the car, like you compare to the guys at speedway, they race for 15 minutes maximum, and I just laugh at them when I say we race for 5.5 hours.
Yep.
Weekend, and they look at you, but sort of, like, really? how do you race for 5.5 hours? And I was like, well, come and race with us. You'll find out.
Yep.
You can't knock it, we're introducing new people to the sport, and that's what side-by-side does. That's probably the biggest strength of side-by-side, because it's affordable for the majority of people. Anyone that does motorsport obviously spends a lot of money, and in side-by-side you just tend to spend less. So I'm in a position where I could probably still be rallying right now, but I choose to race with my kids. So I'm funding my son Jackson and my daughter Eden, and then myself, and I'm getting to do that, and I'm still coming up trumps over rallying. So we're running 3 cars per event, and I reckon it's probably on the same budget.
Yeah,
we'd probably 3 events in off-road racing to 1 rally for just me. So
there you go.
The cost of rallying is quite high, and and it's legitimate. Like, you need to spend that money to be at the top, but we can run at the top level of side by side with 3 cars for the same amount for 3 events. So it doesn't take a businessman to work out a better deal than what we were doing. So that's just motorsport, and it's just a case of finding your path and what you want to do. And that's probably, to be honest, that's one of the factors I really love about side-by-sides. And I get a lot of comments, especially from my rally mates. Obviously, I had a good time rallying, and I've got a lot of friends that still do it. And they go, is it the same? Do you get the same enjoyment out of side-by-side as what you do at rallying? And I go, absolutely. I said, my car accelerates from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds, mate. I said, how's your rally? These things are quick. They're enjoyable. I am not bored at all. And I'm fighting to keep the thing on the track, because the track ain't smooth. And that's what I keep telling them.
And then you add that factor in of getting to race with your son and your daughter as well, and not just you anymore. Like, when you cross the finish line, you get to go and cheer them on, or vice versa. If they cross the finish line before you, they get to cheer you on. So it's a whole nother level of enjoyment when you get to compete and race with family, but also like good friends and mates and everything like that.
And you can't buy that. You literally cannot buy it. So the fact that we're out doing it, makes me so happy and obviously proud, because I'm really proud of what my kids are doing and achieving.
Yep.
In off-road racing. So they're learning, and they're getting better every round. And I've got no doubt that Jackson and Eden will both be champions in the future. So and I'll support it as much as I can. And to be honest, I don't care if they're going to be champions or not. I just love seeing what they're doing and learning from it and just getting better.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that story about Jackson blows me away, because you guys are such a competitive family. I mean, he had such a great run. Was it the 2019 Australian Championship side-by-side, or 18 or whatever it was? 19, because 18 you won.
Yeah. I won in 18, and he won in 19, and he came from nowhere. And the last round, he was in the fight, but he was a long shot. You'd never bet on him. It was a long shot to win the title going into the last round, but it's motorsport. He performed, he did the work, and that's what I said to him. I said, all you can do is prep the car and do the best you can on the day, and just see if the event comes to you. And oh my God, did it come to him? Like, the last race, everything fell into place. The poor guy that was leading the championship, he just got I'm going to sound cocky, but he just got sucked in, because Jackson and I just took off and we went for it, and we had nothing to lose. And then we sucked in the old James Ship, and he tried to chase us, and he ended up breaking his car and DNFing, which all he had to do was finish. Yeah. Yes. He just had to finish, and he won the championship.
Yes. And that was like the last jump too, wasn't it? He broke on it was like the last lap, or?
No, it was 2 laps to go, and he hit a jump and he broke his steering rack, and he literally could not drive the car.
Yep.
So, as a competitor, I felt sorry for him, but as a father, I just went stiff shit. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jackson went on to win the race. I came second, and so Jackson got the championship, and I came third in the championship. I think it's going into that event, Jackson was third in the title chase, and I was fifth.
Yep.
So we ended up picking up a podium for both of us, and that was one of my proudest times. I was blown away at seeing the maturity Jackson drove with. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he did that. And he didn't focus on anything else. He just focused on what he could do,
Yep.
and then let the event come to him. So
Yep.
it was lucky. Like if James Shipp had just driven around and finished 8th, he would have won the championship. But to be honest, that's not what James Shipp's about. He wants to win. Yeah, he wants to win every round and show that he's the true champion. Yep. And look, to be honest, he deserved it. He was a very good driver and he is a true champion, but the results prove otherwise. It was as I said, it was a bit of a shame, but also a blessing. So
yeah, a win.
Yeah, it's it. You just got to take it as it is. There's no
absolutely
seasonal madness to it. Like absolute respect to James as a driver. He's a brilliant driver and he deserved better. But at the end of the day, he was beaten by Jackson.
Yep. Now that leads us. The other thing is that you guys, because we said about the 7-car group going around at the moment, and you've had some awesome support lately from King Chrome. I mean, it's been a while because that's probably about 2019 or 2018. Did they come on with the championship?
2020 actually.
Oh, 2020. Yep.
Yeah. So that was. I've been working on that for a long time, and the King Chrome stuff all came through during COVID. Which was amazing. Like I was a bit shocked that we actually got it over the line, especially in COVID times. But yeah, we just kept working hard and trying to provide something that they wanted, and something they saw value in. And so like it was a relationship I've been working on for a little while, and a lot of people told me you couldn't do it. Because King Chrome don't get involved in this sort of stuff, but I just kept pushing, and to be honest, I didn't push too hard. Like it was just at the time, it was good for King Chrome, it was good for us, and it's a relationship sort of made in heaven. And like we're going forward, gangbusters, and King Chrome are loving it. We're having a we just started the new YouTube series, which was it was planned for a little while, but we also wanted to do it right and a little bit different. We didn't want it just to be another racing story in respect that, we work on the cars, we race and we break them and we do this and we do that, and then we got second or first or fourth or fifth or whatever. We wanted to tell the story of the characters. And to be honest, King Chrome nailed it. Like they had a plan themselves on what they wanted to achieve out of it. And it was far better than my plan.
It's brilliant, mate. Well, we were talking about it, how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'm so proud of it. The guys that do all the work, the guys who are taking the footage and filming it, they're the same guys who are doing the production and doing all the editing and stuff like that. So they own a piece of it, if you know what I mean. And so there's a lot of them in the editing, and they're very proud of what they've achieved, and they should be, because it's really good. It's different. I think it gets the story across. It definitely shows racing in its true form, and how much work goes on behind the scenes and with the team. And it's not all about the results. It's about the team and how much fun we're having. I'm just watching Eden.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a jig there.
Yes,
classic Eden. That is her through and through. She is like that all the time. That's the funny part about it. which is nice of them to catch that and portray it in the right light. And I think they nailed it. As I say, I'm very proud of what they've achieved, and I'm glad to be part of it. And I can honestly say it's only going to get better.
Well, I was going to say, Simon, so where can they watch it? And is this going to come out after every round now?
Yes. So after every round, we'll be releasing a video, obviously, of the last round. And there's also, I think if you follow it there on King Chrome on YouTube, so you go to YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's on Facebook as well, on King Chrome. Basically, if you search King Chrome on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, you'll find it. And yeah, there's prizes. They've got questions. I think they haven't presented any prize for the last round yet. They put up a video just saying, why did Jackson hit the tree? I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure there's a King Chrome toolbox or there's definitely some tools up
because he's a Hellman.
Pardon?
Because he's a Hellman. That's why.
I'm not going to say why. I know the answer.
Very good. Very good.
All you have to do is watch the video.
There you go. Perfect. And what I like is
King Chrome tools. So get on it and have a ball because, as I say, it's entertaining and it's different. It's a different showcase on motorsport. It's not just your typical race video. It shows the characters and it gets you. It's a little bit more like Neighbours, I guess. And it gets you attached to the characters. Actual racing. I love that. So, yeah. I'm proud of it, and like all I had to do was stand on the right side of the camera. I didn't have to do any of the editing and stuff like that. Those guys did a brilliant job, and I can't wait to see the second round because it's going to be entertaining, and they'll back it up with another good prize as well because King Chrome are really into this.
Perfect. So I guess I'm doing the YouTube thing. Make sure with the King Chrome, go and click through to the links. Not now, wait until the end of the video, but click through the links and make sure you do the subscribe and like and comment on their page. And do the same with us. If you're watching the DIRTSPORT, the DIRTBAGZ thing, make sure you click like, subscribe, comment. You can comment to Simon. I'm sure he'll reply, and we'll try to reply as well and do all that sort of stuff. But the other thing, Simon, where can they follow along now with because I know you've got Simon Evans Motorsport. Is that the best page to follow?
Absolutely, yeah. Simon Evans Motorsport on Instagram. I think it's at Simon Evans Motorsport on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's just Simon Evans Motorsport. You can definitely follow along there, and we keep that up to date. And you can contact me on there as well. But yeah, if you want to hear some funny stories, go there.
It's the right place to be. And again, same with Jackson. Like I love following Jackson on Instagram because he's always up to some maniac move. He's got what's his Subaru that he's got it? Because it's an early Forester, isn't it? But it's all lifted and big tires. He takes it dunging.
Yeah, it was nuts. He actually just sold it, to be honest.
There you go.
Yeah. But it was all jacked up, and he had like a 4.5-inch lift on it, and it was nuts. It was a cool car.
It was very cool.
Yeah, down here in Victoria, the cops are a little bit
down. They get us. So, they don't like it in Queensland either.
Yeah, so they don't like a car with a 4-inch lift and bigger tires and all that sort of stuff. So he got rid of it before he got into trouble. But now he's just focused on the racing. And so, yeah, I think he's actually, to be honest, he's just got a Patrol with a V8 and a Chev in it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, an old Patrol. Probably down the path you guys would love.
Yeah, we like that sort of stuff, definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm sure you'll see a little bit of that as it comes up. But
perfect.
He's just finished painting it. And
brilliant.
It looks pretty cool. So he's driving it. He actually was around here today in it. So he's driving it around again. So I'm sure you'll see some videos on Instagram. Was that Jackson UTV something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll try to link that one down low. Yep, absolutely. But Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. We better wrap it up only because it's getting late and we've got a lot of work to do. I know you've got a lot of work. Concrete, and you'll be up at 2:30 in the morning, won't you?
Oh, mate, yeah.
That'll be first beers, won't it?
3 o'clock usually get up. 3 o'clock. So
Oh, that's too early. Us electricians, we don't get out of bed until like 9.
I think I say it on the King Grant video. I'm the bloke that wakes everybody up.
Yes.
Yeah, pisses them off, generally.
Perfect. No, well, that's brilliant, mate. We'll let you go, but the moral of the story is that we'll have to have you back on. We've thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you. I knew you had a ton of stories. I've had a couple of catch-ups over a few roadies with Brett Comiskey and a few of the other boys there that we used to race the side-by-side. And, mate,
yeah.
Good guys. And yeah, it'll be a pleasure to catch up with you. We will see you at Fink. We might try to even get you on and do something out there with the rest of your crew out there with Evans Motorsports.
Mate, be happy to be there and look forward to catching up with the boys from DIRTBAGZ.
Absolutely. Awesome, mate. Well, Joshy, have you got anything to add, mate?
No, it's been great, mate. We appreciate you taking the time to jump on and tell us a few of your stories. And like I said, the one I really wanted to hear is Dan had told a little bit about it, but the story of breaking the legs and then continuing on in the rally championship is just, it's nuts, mate. And then knocking it back. So yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for your time and your effort. And yeah, we will definitely have to have you back on again. So thanks a lot. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. And until next time, keep the shiny side up.